Hi everyone, and welcome to today's video. Today, as you can tell from the title, we are going to be going over, reviewing, wearing, testing out the NYX Born To Glow foundation as well as the concealer. My skin has just been feeling a little bit more dry lately, especially during these winter months, colder months. I don't usually feel dry, but for whatever reason, I'm feeling a little bit dry. And so I decided this was the perfect time to test these out as they have more of a radiant finish. We are going to be going over just quick details on both. This foundation retails for $10 US and you can find it in 45 different shades. I grabbed the shade True Beige to test out today. It is a naturally glow foundation with buildable medium coverage that's supposed to last all day long. It's cruelty-free and it is a vegan formula. Now, as far as the concealer, it retails for $9 US and you can find it in 24 shades. I grabbed the shade Natural for today. Reading through the details, it does state that this concealer was carefully calibrated in order to match the shade of the foundation. So if you grabbed Natural for concealer, then you can find Natural for the foundation, and that is supposed to match. I obviously didn't do that, but they don't have as many concealer shades as they do foundation shades. So I'm assuming it only happens like for 24 of the foundations. Now, as far as the finish, this is supposed to give us a radiant finish. The formula is creamy, vegan, and it is infused with vitamin E. You get customizable coverage, so you can go really light, I'm assuming, or you can build up for more coverage. Let's see, it also has a puff blender, and it's cruelty-free. The puff blender is the only thing that I'm like, I just don't like it. The Maybelline Age Rewind concealer has the exact same thing going on, and I'm not a fan. I don't like it because you can't really control how much is coming out. Sometimes you squeeze a little bit too much, or you crank the thing with the Maybelline Age Rewind a little bit too much, and then a ton of concealer comes out. It's just kind of unpredictable, and I just don't like it. Now, as far as how I'm going to use these products, for the foundation, I am going to be using my Professional Pore Primer, but I'm simply going to use that here along the nose and here along the sides of the nose, mainly, not all over the face. For the concealer, I am going to be doing a side with color corrector and a side without. I was starting to test concealers with color corrector underneath both eyes, but a lot of you seem to like it when I don't do that. When I do one side with a color corrector, one side without, just gives you guys a better idea of what it looks like without it, or if you need a color corrector with it. So I'm gonna do that today. We're gonna test it out with and without a color corrector. All right, so let's get started. I'm just gonna add a little bit of the primer here and just pressing it into the skin. All right, next I'm gonna color correct really fast. This is the Becca Under Eye Brightening Corrector in the shade Medium to Deep. I need a new one. Just taking a little bit of that and canceling out the darkness over here on the right side. Just a little bit. It's a really light layer. All right, now let's apply some foundation, shall we? So that's what that shade looks like. Like I said, this is True Beige, which I think is a little too yellow, but we'll see. We'll see what it looks like on the skin. I'm taking my Multitasker Sigma brush. This is the F47, and that's how I'm gonna apply it. Yeah, it's just a little too yellow for me, but it's supposed to give us medium buildable coverage. So I'll be able to tone it down by not adding too much onto the face. I prefer medium coverage anyway. All right, so there's the foundation. I had quite a bit left over. I don't feel like you need too much unless you're trying to get more full coverage. This gives you a nice filter, if you will. It kind of just evened everything out, but without seeming or feeling or looking like too much. Let me zoom you guys in so that you can get a better idea of what this foundation is doing on my face. All right, so you see that? I still can see like that little blemish right there, and my skin is still, you're still able to see it, but it's just a lot more even. The same goes for this side. All right, so now the concealer. Let's just squeeze some of this out. Oh, there it is. It's coming. That's what that shade looks like. This is supposed to be natural. Might be a little too light for me. So I'm gonna start off small, just concentrating the coverage here and here. That way I don't overdo it, since this is supposed to give us a radiant finish. This looks really nice. All right, so let's build a little bit more right here, a little bit more coverage just right there. Like that. Just adding a tiny bit more. All right, this looks pretty good. Looks pretty good, looks really nice and light, not heavy at all. Now let's go in to the other side. I have a feeling that this is gonna look gray. It's definitely gonna look gray, but we're doing it anyway. We're just gonna see how it works or how it wears. I'm just adding some right here, adding a little bit right there, blending it out. All right, and same as with this side, I'm gonna add a little bit more right here, more than I did on the right side, just because this is really light coverage. So I'm gonna build up a little bit more over here since I don't have the help of the color corrector underneath, just to see how much I can add and what it looks like. All right, so there it is. Shade is obviously off for the concealer and for the foundation. Foundation's a little bit too yellow. The concealer is just a little bit too light, but it looks good. It looks good. It feels really lightweight considering the fact that it's supposed to be more of a radiant foundation. When I run into radiant foundations, those usually feel pretty heavy, pretty slick. This one doesn't even feel sticky on the face at all. The concealer, it's settling into fine lines very little. I wish I would have gotten a better shade match. Just, you know, ordering online, it just kind of, it sucks because you don't always get, the swatches online aren't always what you get. So if I like the way that this wears, I'll definitely be reaching for a deeper shade just because I feel like this is a little too light, but it looks good. It looks lightweight. It looks very natural underneath the eyes. Now, since this concealer is going to give us a radiant finish, I am gonna set it just because in my experience, radiant finish typically for me means it's gonna settle a little bit underneath the eyes. So I wanna prevent that from happening. So I'm gonna take my soft blend brush from Sigma Beauty. This is in the number 40 or their number 40 brush. I'm just taking a very small amount of my Fenty Pro Filter powder. This one's in the shade Butter. Just taking very light amount of that and setting the under eye area. All right, so now that the under eye area is done, let me zoom you guys in so that you can get a better look underneath here after initial application. All right, so here it is. You see what I mean? It looks really nice. It looks really light. However, the shade is just what's not working out. But as far as the formula, it looks really good. All right, so let me finish my makeup and I will be right back. All right, so I'm back, makeup is done, ready to continue on with my day. It is 11:52. I do plan on wearing this the entire day, and of course I will be coming back halfway through the day in order to show you guys some close-ups and to talk to you about how the foundation and the concealer have been wearing up to that point. I think I'm gonna do an outdoor midday check-in, so I'll probably be in my car. I will be in my car actually. So you'll get a natural lighting check-in. That way you can see what these products look like in broad daylight, you know, because sometimes everything can look really nice indoors, especially with like studio lighting, but then once you take it outside, it's another story. So I'm gonna check in from my car and that way you guys can see this under natural lighting. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys in a bit. All right, so I'm in my car. It is currently 3:08. So I've had the foundation and the concealer on now for what, like a good 3 hours or so, right? Anyway, this is what it looks like up close. I think it looks pretty good, right? Like I don't want to face this way because obviously like the sun is gonna throw it off, but over here, I'd say it looks really nice. It looks pretty natural. Obviously not full coverage. It still doesn't feel heavy. It feels very lightweight, very natural. I like the way that everything feels, and I think I like the way that the concealer looks. What do you guys think? Anyway, that concludes my midday check-in. I'll see you guys back at the house. All right, so I'm back for my final check-in. It is currently 7:36. So I've had this on now for what, like almost 8 hours, right? Because I think we started right before noon. So 7.5 hours, almost a solid 8. We're gonna call it done. So I'm gonna zoom you guys in first so that you can get a better idea of what everything looks like on my face as far as like the foundation, how that wore, and of course the concealer underneath the eyes. And then I'll give you guys my thoughts after wearing both products for an entire day. All right, so let's start off with the under eye area. Need I say more? You know, it didn't hold up. Even the little bit of coverage that I got at the beginning of the day, it's practically gone now. The only thing that's really saving this from looking like this is the color corrector, which adds a little bit of coverage, you know? So yeah, it's pretty much all gone. As far as the foundation, I don't think I've noticed a big difference. It hasn't made me oily. For the most part, I feel like it has stayed in place. It hasn't settled into my smile lines here. Hasn't accentuated my smile lines, and I don't feel excessively dewy. All right, so now that you've seen everything up close, what do I think? I'm okay with the foundation. I obviously do not like the concealer at all. During my midday check-in, I was like, oh, you know what? This doesn't look that bad. I was in the car, I looked at it up close, like in natural lighting, and it really didn't look that bad, but I didn't realize that it was because it had worn off, and all I was really seeing was like my skin. I didn't really have a lot of coverage to begin with. By midday, I feel like, yeah, it lessened. Now that I'm almost 8 hours in, it's really kind of pointless for me to have anything underneath the eyes. This concealer is definitely not for someone with dark circles. It's more so for someone who wants to just like brighten up the under eye area a little bit. However, the formula is very lightweight. It is very nice. It blends out really, really nicely, and it looks more natural. But because of that, it just doesn't provide much coverage. I grabbed the wrong shade, so not only is it not providing enough coverage or any very little coverage, but it looks kind of gray underneath the eyes because I grabbed the wrong shade. I think had I gone with a deeper shade, it would still not be concealing as much, but at least I probably wouldn't be dealing with the grayness underneath the eyes. So no for me, perhaps for someone who just, like I said, wants to brighten up the under eye area a little bit, because the formula is really nice, very lightweight. Now the foundation, I like for similar reasons. It is very light, very lightweight. When I first applied it in the morning, I noticed that even though it was giving me more of a hydrated look, I did not have to set it with a powder, which I found to be quite surprising, because usually when I am playing with more of like radiant finish foundations or dewy finish foundations, those tend to stay sticky, stay feeling a little sticky and just dewy and kind of wet, unless you set them, which I tend to have to do because I do use a powder for bronzer and a powder for blush. When I don't set the foundations where I need to apply bronzer and blush, it tends to kind of skip, like my bronzer will skip or my blush will skip, and it just doesn't blend out as nicely. So that's why I usually set those foundations. This one I didn't have to do that at all. I was able to just apply my bronzer and my blush on top of the foundation without setting it, and it looks really nice. It still looks really nice. It is more of a light to medium foundation though. At least that's how I would describe it. Not necessarily medium to like buildable coverage, unless you want to add like a lot of, maybe like more than one layer. If you're wanting to play with maybe 2, perhaps even 3, like just going in with it heavier, then you might get that, buildable, more full coverage effect. But for me, just using the 1 layer, I would call this more like light to medium. And I'm fine with that. I love foundations that just kind of give you more of an even look, like give your skin more of an even look, but your skin still looks like skin. It doesn't look like it's completely covered by foundation. So I like those foundations a little bit more. It wore nicely. It does feel very lightweight. I didn't have to set it with a powder in order to apply anything on top of it. And I feel like overall, you know, it doesn't look excessively dewy here along the T-zone. I don't feel dry around the rest of my face. It just, yeah, it looks nice. It looks nice. This is definitely an everyday type of foundation. I'll just need to purchase a different shade because True Beige was just a little bit too yellow. So that completes this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I truly hope that you enjoyed this product review and that you found it helpful. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss out on future videos. And also don't forget to follow me over on Instagram, where I absolutely love to interact with you guys. As always, take care, and I will see you all in my next video. Mwah! Bye.